input from the public on the countywide park and rec plan, the 5-year park and rec plan. And at this point, I will turn it over to Tamara Blaswinka.
Well, if it is your guys' pleasure, I'll give the short little PowerPoint, and then if the public would like to speak after that, then they've heard the presentation. Can you just turn off the light so we
Sure.
can see it?
That's good. That's dark enough.
Okay. Well, thank you for having me here today. And as you know, just spent the last year and a half doing a countywide recreation plan that sought to develop recreation plans for each municipality in Manistee County. And so here we're talking about Filer Township. Is this clear, you guys? I forgot my glasses, so I can't focus very well. Okay. So it's a recreation plan that is compliant with the Department of Natural Resources guidelines, which is very important because then it allows us to seek grant and other funding for implementation of the plan. It was community driven and it is project orientated, meaning we've got goals and then a number of projects, and those projects are the things that need to be implemented. 21 units of government, that's 20 municipalities, including the county itself. The plan was divided up into regions that coincide with our Visitors Bureau documents. I don't know if you've ever read some of our tourist publications, but basically we're trying to speak the same language so that when we use documents like this for marketing and promotion, we're all speaking the same language, we're all organized the same way, so it's artificial in a sense, but there's real purpose behind it. And so the county has been divided up into little sub-regions called Northwoods, North Coast, River Country, Manistee area, which is Filer Township. And really they follow natural systems, rivers, forestry land, inland lakes, and then of course our major population center here in the city of Manistee. So the foundation of the plan, really the direction that Rob and I got to do this undertaking came from the Lakes to Land Regional Initiative that sought to prepare all those master plans. And then all the newer master plans that have been written throughout the county, including the Filer Township, that talk about recreation planning and the need for it. And then the County Board of Commissioners strategic plan very specifically gave us direction to do this. And it was great timing because Rob and I are, this county right now has 2 planners that have their master's degree and they're certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners. Lots of experience writing these types of plans, so it was like the perfect storm. And Rob and I figured that each one of these plans costs about $10,000 to produce, so about $200,000 saved within this county to have this done by Rob and I doing it in-house. Remember, nobody had to reach in their pockets to pay for the plan, except for how we derive our salaries. But so that was a great way to do it, and nobody cares more about the county than 2 individuals who live here and plan on living here for quite a long time. There was a definite methodology that we followed. Again, some of this is dictated by the DNR. It had to be collaborative. We had to do in-depth recreation inventory and then prioritization of those assets. Lots of public input. We had to look at each community's administrative structure, the government, their budget. We focused on trail development because that was one of the major emphases of all the public input. We developed goals for each community, and then the action program is the implementation and how we're going to get this beast implemented. So we're going to go through each one of these pretty quickly. But the recreation inventory started, quite a long time ago, utilizing some students from the high schools who went around inventorying all the assets in our county. We have had a recreation plan for the entire county. We thought all the assets were identified and they weren't. So this was extremely comprehensive. It was great to give those high school students an opportunity to learn how to do this, use Excel, interact with professionals, learn about planning and government. We took all that information back to the leadership team, and Karen Kolk was your representative for the leadership team, and they did some prioritization of those sites, took that all back to your planning commission, did more work prioritizing. So basically, what sites in Filer Township are the most important that we should, Rob and I, should start focusing on? And they gave that information back to us. Yes.
I see you've got a couple of squares, and I know it's owned by the school system, one off of Price and right there, and the next one.
Yeah.
Why are those designated there? Just because they're public land?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and when you look through the plan, there's lots of different maps that will show ownership, but basically those are just, public. You know, this chart right here shows you, it's not meant for you to be able to read it, but it's just to show you that all of the different assets in Filer Township are listed here. And these are all the different amenities that could be at those parks. And they were cataloged, do they have drinking, fresh water, bathrooms, parking lot, is it paved, is it not paved, camping, things like that. So what's really unique about this is now we have all this baseline data, and over time we'll be able to update these charts much easier, and we can manipulate the data to find out information. We can share it with the Visitors Bureau, so we automatically know all the places in Filer Township that you can go to hike at, where there's a bathroom. And that's information that people who come to visit, not only our residents, but people come to visit, they're going to want to know. And that's also one of the most costly parts of the plan, is making sure that this inventory was really locked down. And the different color schemes, these top two, and again, this is in your plan, are the priority sites. And so right away you can see which sites the leadership team felt were the most important. These are the priority sites for the entire county. You can see for Filer Township, we've got Lagoon Creek is one of the key sites. But the interior townships are highlighted, which was really nice to see. Our county isn't just the coastal areas. It's all of our river systems, all of our communities are touched and will be receiving attention. So we had an enormous amount of public input, crazy amount, and it was really lots of fun. Really one of the most satisfying things for Rob and I was when we went to all the different high schools and spoke to all the juniors and seniors. They did the visioning sessions that we took to the rest of the community, and it was fun working with those youth to see what they want. They are the next generation. They're the ones that we want to stay here. After they maybe go away, and then we want them to come back, and what do they want to see as far as recreational development? We did an online survey that ran for 4 months, and we had just over 1,000 responses to that. We ran 6 community vision sessions that were well attended, and we had monthly leadership team meetings, and all 20 communities sent representatives, and they all showed up. It was really encouraging to see that type of enthusiasm for recreation in the county. And then Rob and I spent a lot of time talking to various stakeholders throughout the county, especially our major landowners, the DNR, the Forest Service, consumer powers, the railroads, really trying to understand their process and how they factor into recreation. For example, consumer powers, they own a lot of property. If we want to improve any of that property for the public, they have a 2 to 3 year internal process. So knowing that means we can start now, knowing that's probably going to take about 3 years to get something done, but at least we didn't wait 3 years to start something. From all of that public input, we synthesized it. And remember, it was always countywide, but it can always be narrowed down to Filer Township specific. So we know exactly what Filer Township residents want. All of the surveys and all the public input allowed us to do that. Trails, everybody wants trails. But it's a countywide focus. So really the trails, we've got a lot of loops occurring out there, but we need connections, we were told, between communities. So to go from Calva to Bear Lake, to go from Stronach into Filer, we need those trails and those connections. It really is a focus on facility improvements, or improving what we already have, versus building or acquiring new land. We're a year-round county, year-round recreational county. We like to do stuff all year round, not just in the summer on the beaches. There's a need for different types of recreational programming, fly fishing clinics, how to kayak, how to have outdoor skill sets, how to hike, camp. The kids want to learn how to rock climb. Access, we've got a lot of great water and land opportunities, and we've got a lot of public land, but we found that it doesn't always seem to be easy to get to it. So access to our water and different land resources was really a huge focus. A lot of folks wanted economic development based on our natural resources. You know, the canoe liveries, kayak liveries, outfitters, pop-up businesses that will rent some of that equipment, and that we need to develop assets that will provide opportunities for a wide age spectrum. So I'm sorry, I know this is hard to read, but when we looked at each individual government unit, the administrative structure, really we were looking at a lot of different things. Operations and maintenance. 55% of the communities have budgets for operation and maintenance, but 45% don't. You do. You do. Recreation, you know, do you have funds for recreation programming? 33% say they do, 67% say they don't. Partnerships with private organizations, 62% say no, 63% do. I'm sorry, 38% do. And then do you have a relationship with the local school district? You know, half don't, but the other half do. So that really tells us something, and what it told me and Rob is that there's a real need for communities, and Filer again is not one of these, but countywide, for planning commissions to develop recreation committees, for the budgets to have line items for recreation, so the parks have a designated fund to take care of them. And I'm thinking here in Filer Township, the Planning Commission doesn't have a recreation committee as a subcommittee. I don't believe so. No, but we're finding that those dedicated volunteers really move the agenda for recreation, so we're encouraging those subcommittees to be formed. And they're appointed by the Planning Commission, and they fall under the Planning Commission. We can talk about that later. Like I said, trail development was huge, but it's really about making connections between communities. These purple arrows are not where the trails are going to be, but they're big, broad brushstrokes of connections. So, you know, you've got Calva there, and you're making connections to the city, to Bear Lake. You've got Filer, you know, needing to connect down to Mason County, but also, you know, way out into our river system and beyond. What's really lovely about the trail development is that the snowbirds, the Manistee snowbirds, have a huge network of snowmobile trails, and we've been working really closely with them to see if we can get some of those trails converted to multi-use trails, maybe some of those lease agreements converted into hiking to allow hikers. But again, no ATV activity on these trails. We're not talking about the trails being used for that type of use. Lots of trail work is going to be done in 2016, a lot more planning, a lot more implementation, so stay tuned for that. Basically, all the goals that were written for the community, developed by the community, fell in these kind of categories. Funding, how we're going to pay for all this. Some communities did want land acquisition, economic development, natural resource stewardship, collaboration and partnerships, trail development, improving the parks, programming, and facilities of our recreational opportunities, and access to land and water. So in your plan, your goals fall within these categories. And it was nice to see how many of the goals were shared all throughout the county. Makes it a lot easier to implement the plan when you have something like that. The action program really talks about working with communities to develop the organizational capacity to get planning commission subcommittees for recreation subcommittees, looking at developing those line item budgets, getting a volunteer base dedicated to recreation, and then what we're hoping is that those volunteers will fill up our county-wide leadership team, and that leadership team will keep pushing this rec plan to become implemented. Ultimately, though, we're going to need something a little bit more grand. We do have in the larger plan to talk about a recreation authority to investigate that mechanism. There's also recreation commissions that are appointed. We don't know the right answer, but at least we have direction to investigate that. But we're going to need something. So that is the very brief PowerPoint, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you or the public may have. That was it. Well, you know, at this point, all those goals, we did struggle with, should we bring all those goals back up? Because you, Planning Commission's already reviewed them so many times, but if you, I don't know, were you being tongue-in-cheek? It was a very comprehensive plan. Yeah, like deep breath. Yeah. Oh, well, thank you. Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't look at the agenda. Would you like me to stay for that? A full agenda? You have the resolution? I apologize. When you read it out loud, there's a couple grammatical flub-ups in there. So I apologize for
We
that.
may have fixed them.
You might think.
I don't know if there's others.
Thank you. Okay. Hold on, I'm gonna pack up. Thank you. Appreciate that, Shirley.
Thank you, Tamara.
Thank you.
Okay, then we need a motion to adjourn the public hearing. So we can open
I'll second that.
the motion by Jasinski, second by Garrett, to close the public meeting. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Public hearing is now closed, and I will, at this point, at 6:05, open the board meeting. Ron, would you mind getting the lights back there, please, Ron? Thank you. And Shirley, you want to call a roll, please?
Cruz.
Here.
Ball. Here. Lachinsky.
Here.
Skara. Here. Williams.
Here. I was told there was no meeting tonight.
Walker.
Here?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Gonna call him.
Jerry,
I was just getting ready to leave.
Yeah, I know. You're the somebody I missed.
Yeah. Okay, you have the consent agenda in front of you. On the consent agenda tonight, item A is the minutes of the rescheduled regular board meeting which was held on December 3rd, 2015. B is the financial report. C, the approval of Township general fund expenditures, including the fire department expenditures. Those would be checks numbered 33059 through 33138. Accounts payable totaling $35,947.07. And payroll totaling $11,942.45. for a grand total of $47,889.52. Item D on the consent agenda is approval of the Water Department expenditure checks 2206 through 2218, totaling $31,730.50. Item E is approval of budget amendment transferring $7,000 from the general fund balance to the Township Hall capital outlay. Item F is approval of a budget amendment transferring $5,000 from the general fund balance to Parks and Rec professional services. Item G is approval for the supervisor and the Board of Review members to attend the Northwest Michigan Assessors Association Board of Review training in Cadillac on January 29th at a total cost of $140, and that covers all 4 people attending that. So at this point, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I so move. Support.
Motion by Cruz, support by Hachinsky to approve the consent agenda. All in favor?
May I just say something?
Yes.
We have an addition, remember?
Oh, yeah, I forgot that. Let's back up. I'm sorry. There is an addendum on the consent agenda, which is item H, which is approval of a budget amendment transferring $30,000 from the general fund balance to the Nelson Street office account. And with that addition to the consent agenda, I would ask if your motion is still in place.
I so move.
Dean and Tom, okay. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. On the meeting agenda for tonight, we have under action, we'll be taking action on the public hearing. Item A is consideration of approval of the presented resolution adopting the Manistee Countywide Recreation Plan. Under special presentations, we have Mark Solden with us tonight, along with Sally Retkow. They'll be discussing the road work that was completed during the past year in Filer Township, as well as looking ahead at future improvements that need to be done. Under communications and announcements, item A in your packet is a letter from Charter Communications regarding price increases dated 12/15/15. Item B is a item dated 12/15 Accident Fund Group Program, the dividend statement. Item C dated 12/17/15 is advisory notice from the Michigan Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs, Michigan Public Service Commission. Department and committee reports. A is the Water Department report, including your monthly report from Wade Trim. Item B is the Fire Department report, along with the 2016 Fire Department roster. Item C is Lynn's report from the Office of Zoning Administrator. Item D is the Planning Commission report. E, Zoning Board of Appeals. F, Building and Grounds Committee report. Item G, Board of Review minutes. Item H, PEG Commission. I is the Downtown Development Authority. J is the sewer project, with a review of the proposed sewer agreement between the City of Manistee and the Township. Under new business tonight, we have under item A, consideration of approval of a resolution establishing poverty guidelines for exemption from property tax contributions, property tax contributions. Item B is consideration of the proposed contractual services agreement whereby the County of Manistee agrees to provide the necessary personnel and computer services for tax map and assessment roll maintenance, tax rolls and tax bills under current legal requirements to the Charter Township of Filer for the 2016 calendar year at a cost of $3.90 per parcel. Item C is consideration of proposed contractual services agreement, the SET, summer tax collection between Manistee County and the Charter Township of Filer, whereby the County of Manistee agrees to provide the township with the necessary personnel, materials, equipment, and technology to prepare the summer tax billing for the state education tax 2016 collection at a cost of $1 per parcel. And then addendum items to the to new business. Item D, we have consideration of approval of a recommendation by the Building and Grounds Committee to accept Paradigm Electric proposal number 66, dated December 2nd of 2015, in the amount of $13,800 for the rewiring of the Nelson Street office. Item E is consideration of approval of a recommendation by the Building and Grounds Committee to accept Custom Sheet Metal and Heating Incorporated's proposal dated November 28th of 2015 in the amount of $9,950 for a new heating and cooling system at the Nelson Street office, which includes a 96% two-stage furnace, 96% efficiency two-stage furnace, a 40-gallon electric water heater, and removal of the old boiler and all piping. Any additions, questions on the meeting agenda for tonight? If not, I would accept a motion for approval.
I'll motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Motion by Skira, second by Cruz to approve the meeting agenda for tonight. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. And in your packet you have a copy of the resolution adopting the Manistee County wide rec plan. And then you said, Shirley, you said that the errors were corrected on that?
Well, I think so, unless there's something else here we did go over. I think we're okay.
Okay. Then I would entertain a motion for adopting that resolution.
I'll move that we adopt the resolution.
I'll second that motion. So we have a motion by Hitchinski, second by Walker, to adopt the countywide recreation plan. Shirley, do you want to do a roll call, please?
Williams,
Yes.
Skara,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yeah.
Ball, yes, Walker,
Yes.
Kuczynski.
Yes.
Okay, next we have a presentation by Mark from the Road Commission. Mark Solden. The podium is yours.
Over here? Yes. Good evening, everybody. Thanks for having us. Mark Solden from the Road Commission, Phil Reckel, our board chair. I won't go through the packet in, a lot of detail, otherwise it might be a long meeting. But basically, as far as the packet goes, we provided information about road agencies in Michigan and the county road commission. We have a copy of our budget for fiscal year 2016, which would be October 1st of 2015 through September 30th of 2016. There's a memo and some information. It's a distribution report for primary and local road maintenance that's basically done within Filer Township. And for example, on the primary road maintenance, which includes, blading gravel roads, plowing snow, mowing grass, stuff of that nature, we expended roughly $55,000, and that was for last fiscal year. And then for the local road system within the township, we extended about $135,000. Now that does not include, like during the winter time, on some of the county plow routes, where we have some of the main roads, like probably like Stronach Road and some of those that go through multiple townships. When the guys are plowing snow, they charge it to one number. We have actually like 4 county plow routes. Those will not show up in this distribution report that I gave you. So the actual expenditures will be higher. That's basically what's shown, because it goes through multiple townships. We have information on the Manistee County plow miles. This is basically the same as what was given last year. There's no change. It shows all the townships. It shows the mileage of county primary roads, the mileage of county local roads, the total mileage, seasonal roads, and the number of miles that we actually plow in the wintertime. We have 1,044 miles of county certified roads that are under our jurisdiction, and we maintain 83 miles of state highways with a state maintenance contract. We have actually 197 miles of seasonal roads that are, most of them, like 2-track type of roads that we don't plow in the wintertime. So we do actually, in the wintertime, plow roughly about 847 miles of county roads. There's a document, excuse me, that's it's basically for the federal aid paved primary roads. It's like a spreadsheet. And every year we're required to rate the paved primary roads that are eligible for federal aid. And so back in June, we basically one of our people, somebody from MDOT, and Mike Woods from Networks Northwest, we drove 200 miles of roads. So this is kind of a summary, like a 1-page summary of those roads that were evaluated, and that's done on an annual basis. We have a copy of the public notice, which shows when our board meetings are. They're generally, once a month on a, Wednesday morning at, actually it's like the second Wednesday each month at 9:00 a.m. I think there's just one change, like September 12th is on a Monday this year. And then we have one for the year end, which would be September 30th. As far as updates regarding the road commission, pretty much, winter is finally here. Now, I know they're talking about some warmer weather later on this week, so I guess we'll see. But, we've only had a few, winter snow events. Obviously, the ones we had within the last week had kind of a mixture of snow and then sleet and rain. So that's kind of I think some of the most difficult conditions there as far as, winter maintenance goes. And so we have been out, a number of times. I think actually New Year's Day, I think we had a few people out. And this past Sunday, we actually had a partial crew working, due to the, the slippery road conditions. Even though we didn't have an extensive amount of snow, we had enough to make the road slippery. When we are plowing snow, we're generally out, working on trees, removing trees. We still have our tractors out once in a while doing like boom arm type of work, cutting brush and small trees along the roadway, in some of the select areas. Back in the middle of December, actually, we were out blading gravel and dirt roads because, we had so many different late season rain events. And we tried to seal the roads down, the gravel and dirt roads down, and then we got rain events, a lot of rain, and the gravel and dirt roads were a total mess. So once they're drying up enough and then not frozen, we spent like at least a couple days in most of the townships trying to, blade the gravel and dirt roads. And now we get colder weather, so things typically, freeze up on you. So, hopefully we won't be back out again, but we'll see what the weather brings. Working on guardrail repairs, where needed. Still, unfortunately, doing pothole patching, if we're not, plowing snow, if the pavement and road conditions allow that. And if we do have like heavy rain events, even in the wintertime, and if we're not able to do outside work, usually we're working around the facility. making sure to clean the facility and whatnot. And information about snowfall to date, according to our website, we figured we've had roughly about 20 inches of snow so far this winter, as compared to about 39 inches to date last winter. And of course, the winter before was, pretty extreme. So, the winter, a couple winters ago, the record snowfall was about 212 inches that we recorded. The average seasonal snowfall for the last 10 years is roughly about 140 inches. So, the things that I've heard, I've had weather people telling me that this winter is supposed to be more mild than last winter. So I guess we'll see, at the end of the winter. The federal and state funded projects this year, we completed roughly about 21 miles of blacktop wedging and chip sealing, in various locations all over the county. I think the closest location over here was on Camp Road and Price Road, down into Stronach Township, all the way past the dump site. 2016 federal and state funded project, we're doing a job on Seaman Road, south of Dublin, basically from the South County line up to Hoxsville Road. It's in really bad condition, so we're going to actually grind up the existing blacktop and actually widen it out to like 28 feet wide and repave it. And we have a lot of some tree work that we're going to do within the project limits also. And unfortunately, we're kind of dealing with a bat situation where when you're using federal funds nowadays, you have to there are certain requirements for tree removal because you got the long-eared bats and then Indiana bats, so that may, delay the start of construction, unfortunately. But that will be our, major state and federal aid project for, this year. Local projects completed in 2015. It was a pretty busy season. We had 8 projects total. We did a lot of work on Erdman Road over in Onekma Township. And that was a pretty big job, basically totally redoing the roadway, grinding up the existing blacktop and repaving. And that kind of ran from the village of Onekma up towards 11 Mile Road. We did a little resurfacing job up in Arcadia on 5th Street. We did an overlay job, blacktop on Joseph Road right off of Erdman in Onekma Township. And we did a few jobs up in Pleasanton Township. One would be on Lakeside Avenue, which they call East Shore. There's some of the bad areas we actually overlaid with blacktop. And then on Norcomp Road, we did about a half mile of road resurfacing. Linderman Road up in Bear Lake Township from 9 Mile Road to a mile north, we totally ground that up and repaved it. And we did some re-graveling, Onekma Township. And also a small project on Pole Road in Dixon Township, basically doing some drainage work and rotary graveling. So it was definitely a busy season, last year. As far as projects going, for this year, this summer, if the township does have, some projects in mind, if you do have some funds that you would like to expend on, cost share with the road commission, let us know, and we can, take a look at the project and put some, estimates together. And even if you want, we can evaluate your existing road system and provide you with some, in other words, like in the field, a condition survey of what the existing, paved road conditions are. And even if there are, I think you're pretty limited on the, the gravel roads, but even let you know what the conditions are, and then even give you recommendations if you want, from the road commission. So, just let me know if it's something you would like to do. We are doing a project over on Stronach Road at the Little Manistee River. We're going to do that definitely this year. It's basically an erosion repair project, and unfortunately we're going to have the road shut down for probably a week or so. And we've already notified PCA and Republic and Martin Marietta. Last fall we were looking at maybe doing it last fall, but we're kind of pushing the envelope as far as the timing goes. But once we get a handle on when that project will be done, we'll actually do a news release, be contacting emergency services and all of the key companies out in that area, because, I mean, you get definitely a lot of truck traffic coming through Stronach, going across Little Manistee River. But we're going to basically do some permanent, like, erosion repair, putting in, heavy riprap along edges of the roadway right at there's 3 large multi-plate culverts at the Little Manistee, so we're going to basically put all new heavy riprap along the slopes on both sides and rebuild the embankments. The kind of a summary of the pavement conditions on the federal aid roads, kind of the spreadsheet I gave you, kind of a summary on that. We rated 209 miles in 2015, about 106 miles or 51% are rated as being good to excellent condition, and then about 103 miles or 49% is rated as being very poor to fair condition. The average, what they call PASER rating for the federal aid paved roads is a little over 5, which is basically fair condition. So, I mean, we have roughly like 53 miles of road that could potentially be overlaid with blacktop, or some that's in really bad condition where you got to grind up the existing blacktop and repave. So literally you could spend, over $13 million on 50 miles of road, to upgrade. Obviously, it's going to take a long time to, deal with, 50 some miles of roadway, but it kind of gives you a snapshot of what the needs are here in the county. And that's only the federal aid primary roads, and it does not include the local paved roads here. Many, many miles of local paved roads that I'm sure are probably about, similar conditions. So a lot of needs countywide. There is some, in Lansing, they finally basically approved some additional funding. That was back in November. And so there were some bills that were signed. And basically, one of the bills I'll just kind of go through. In fact, it is shown on the agenda too. Starting in, I think pretty much a lot of it starts in 2017, fiscal year 2017. There's going to be like an approximately 20% increase in vehicle registration fees for cars and trucks, and some other changes, which is going to generate about $200 million a year, what they estimate. The gasoline tax is going to increase by about 7.3 cents, from 19 cents, what it currently is, to 26.3 cents per gallon. And the diesel tax increases by 11.3 cents per gallon, from 18.4 cents to 29.7 cents. And that's supposed to generate roughly about $400 million per year. And then beginning in January 1st of 2022, the fuel taxes will be indexed to inflation. A big part of the situation, previously they increased the gas tax in 1997, but it's basically a fixed 19 cents per gallon. So, so when the gas price goes up to $4 a gallon, people drive less, so therefore generally consume less gas, so transportation agencies generally get less funding. So that's what they've been trying to do, is kind of a more sustainable fix to have it tied into inflation. So, and what that means to the County Road Commission, they've estimated, like starting in 2017, we'll be getting an additional roughly $886,000 above our current gas tax revenue. And then by year 2021, they estimate that we'll be receiving a little over $2.5 million more. Okay, so it's definitely long overdue. But kind of a snapshot, if we get, say in 2017, if you use the additional funds for road projects, $886,000 is enough to basically grind up and repave about 3 miles of road. So it doesn't go real far, but hopefully with the, finally some changes in Lansing for additional funding, we'll be headed in the right direction, because we, definitely have a lot of needs. So And the House bills are, and I have them in the agenda, House Bill's 4736 and the House Bill's 4738 that were basically approved back on November 3rd of 2015. As far as service requests, and I know I've talked to you once in a while, if you do get like emergency situations and whatnot, just if it's during normal business hours, just feel free to call our office, and one of our maintenance supervisors will be contacted to check out the situation. If you see anything beyond normal working hours, just call Central Dispatch. We always have somebody that is on call, and the Central Dispatch will call us, and we will check out the situation, whether it's trees on the roadway or if you have a sinkhole in the roadway, stuff of that nature. Just, and even residents, if you get people that call here, just, either call us directly or refer them to us, but we will definitely investigate it, and deal with, whatever situations we have. As far as staffing goes, we do have 2 seasonal employees working for us again this year. And that's working out, quite well. In fact, one of them did work for us last year, and then we did actually hire one of our retirees, which you may know, Bill Deasing, used to be our basically our maintenance supervisor before Dan Close went into that position. So Bill's actually working for us on a part-time basis, and it's working out quite well. Obviously this winter we haven't had massive snowfall yet, but it's working out good to have some seasonal employees to kind of supplement our full-time staff. So and I think that's all I have, unless you have some questions for us. Yes.
I got a couple of things.
Yeah, Tom.
On the corner of Link and Fox Farm, it's a sharp corner, and a couple of months ago, one of the people that live in the area wanted us to look into putting a street light up. And I happened to notice the yellow markers that you guys got between Onakama and Say the Casino. You got all these signs with the
on M22 probably?
on M22.
Okay.
With the yellow coming down the post and everything, catches your attention.
Sure.
I think what I'd like to see looked at is when you approach that corner to more so on Fox Farm going east, to get something like that up there to show these people that there's going to be a corner there. Evidently, maybe Terry can fill you in more.
No, is that the one I've looked at before?
Yeah, I spoke with you about that before.
And then I had the state, actually, I went out to a state police trooper.
Yeah.
What did
I think what we ended up doing, we put some, we felt it wasn't, we didn't need to make like a stop situation there.
Right.
But I think we did there was a need for some additional signing. Curve.
Yeah.
I never been there to see, but I did see the one on 22, and that sure catches your attention.
Sure, right.
Yeah, I did drive out there, and there is the
Yeah, I'm trying to,
the arrows, double arrows showing, the road ending. And prior to that on Fox Farm, before you get there is the curve sign, and I
think we put a regulatory, I think we put a warning, a speed limit too, like a reduced speed limit.
Yeah, what
along
Tom's
with
talking about is, in those signs, I don't think have them, but
Okay.
I've noticed too, Tom and I talked about it today, a lot of the signs as you approach intersections, stop signs and that, and the curve signs up there on 22 and so on, that have the reflective tape actually on the post, the sign post.
Right.
It is so vivid, it really catches your attention.
Right.
Something like that out there might be
Yeah, for some of the,
good
like the key intersection or key curve in the roadway.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
so
can
much-
check into that.
It's not so much Link going south because there's roads going that way, but evidently people were ending up in this guy's driveway.
Yeah, he was afraid somebody was gonna run, there one accident, a tree stopped them from hitting his house, but he was afraid they'd hit the house. But yeah, that reflective tape on the signs really
Right.
stands on the sign posts, it just
Right.
really.
I remember we looked at the site, I'm trying to remember if there was like one of those big arrow signs there too.
I think there's a big arrow sign there.
Yeah.
Yeah, right at
if we add that strip coming down, that really catches your
Sure,
attention.
yeah. Yeah, we can check into that. I think those are relatively inexpensive. I know we don't have the funds to put them on every signpost in the county, but some key locations we could, definitely look at doing that, so.
Mark, when you talked about guardrail replacements and repairs and so
Yep.
on, it just triggered my memory. We had something happen down here evidently on
21st and
on Nelson, corner of 21st and Nelson. And
Okay.
I never did hear what happened there, but it looks like there's been new guardrail replaced there. It
Okay.
looks like some trees cleared. I never,
Looks like you brought a load of dirt in. Was there a washout there?
They might have, I don't, typically Dan and Greg will handle,
Dan was there
those
with the-
situations.
With the excavator.
Okay,
And
probably
he did
Danny
take-
Newman and,
Yeah,
okay,
they did take some of the trees, they
Okay.
brushed some of the trees, but there was a section of guardrail out and there was a pile of dirt in there.
Hmm.
I just thought it was a washout and you guys were filling.
Sure.
I thought it might have been a car that didn't stop at the intersection going down 21st and went through the guardrail. Because where they cleared, kind of cleared brush out, almost like to run wrecker cables down, to pull a vehicle up the hill.
sure, okay. But it looks like we did something recently there on 21st.
Yeah, this has just been in the last month.
Okay.
Yeah, within the last couple of weeks.
Okay,
I noticed that too and I was gonna ask you about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
But I think maybe it was a washout because I think you guys brought in a load of dirt. I saw a pile of dirt on the other side of the guardrail.
sure. Yeah, I know we've been dealing with some washout areas too, in
Is
various
that because of our
locations.
drain? Because of our drain, we have a drywall there that drains over that bank? Or-
I guess, I'm not sure, I'd have to talk to Dan Klaus or Greg to see
Get back
what the
there.
situation.
Yeah,
Because that one part drain, that one drywall drains
Right.
that way.
Oh,
right.
I gotcha. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, generally, they don't get me too involved with those routine maintenance things unless they need my help on something, so. But I know we've had a few areas, like say Coates Highway over there by, what's the name, Spirit of the Woods? West of there, I know back in October, we had this one gentleman, unfortunately, that he was going eastbound, went right through the guardrail ending, smashed guardrail ending, flew through the air, hit a tree, continued another 150 feet or so, hit another tree, probably 20 feet off the ground, then the vehicle crashed and burned, and apparently the kid walked away. He was pretty doggone fortunate on that one, and so what we ended up doing in that situation, we actually did extend the guardrail, and we put a big target sign up, and hopefully that will prevent it, because apparently there's been a few occasions where vehicles have gone down, the actual, ravine that goes towards Bear Creek. But, just like anything, you can sign it, and this person unfortunately was drunk too, so it didn't, no matter what you would have done, it probably wouldn't have helped anything, but yeah, we've had different occasions like that. Unfortunately, on that same road, on the opposite side of the road, we had somebody that went out of control, hit the other guardrail ending, so. And the guardrail endings aren't, they're not very cheap either. I mean, just for the materials alone, it's a couple $1,000s, and then you figure labor and everything to install them, so. But we generally, we file claims, to their insurance companies too, Hopefully they have insurance to cover the repairs, so. Anything else that you have?
Anyone? I guess not.
Well,
Yeah.
we have a thing we've been trying to work out, so,
Oh, okay.
about a turn there. So we're working on it.
Sure.
You can fill me in later. that'd be- Well, thank you,
Anything you
Mark.
have, Sal? Anything to add?
No, if you get a chance to read these over, you'll see a lot of ballpark estimates. It's really astronomical figures that things cost.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's a really good eye-opener, and I like to see a lot of people look at it.
But, what we can do, like I said, if you're looking at maybe doing some projects, I'll drive all of your roads. I mean, obviously, when the pavement is bare, I gotta, basically drive them. Then we can kind of, at least give you a snapshot. Just recently I did one for Arcadia Township. I drove all their roads, and I did Onekama Township. It takes quite a bit of time, but, more than willing to do that, if you think you'd be interested in, potentially doing something, next year or the following year. At least it'll give you a good idea, just looking at a map, which roads are, definitely need some work, so.
That
Well,
helps us when we go to do our budget also,
Yeah.
if we know that we are interested.
Well, I can see, we generally feel that our roads in the township are in pretty good condition, but you want to stay on top of it so that
Right.
you don't get to that point where
That's right,
you
right,
have extensive and costly repairs, so it might be a good idea just to,
right. I mean, you might have a lot of roads. I mean, if you say if it's, a lot of them are average of 5 or something, like fair condition, you definitely want to start looking at eventually doing some chip seal and fog seal work to kind of extend the service life, because you don't want to get them down to a 2 and 3.
right.
We're actually, a lot of roads, we are band-aiding together, at least what I call it. If they're like a Pazer 3, a low 3, where you have the distortion in the wheel lines, you have to put a blacktop wedge and then overlay things. You probably saw, what was done over on Camp Road south of the dump. That section was a horrible shape, and we actually did a lot of, with that federal state-funded project, we did a lot of like blacktop overlays, and then some wedging and chip sealing. We could have probably overlaid the entire section south of the dump, but just didn't have the funds for that. But you definitely want to look at, trying to, even if it's chip seal or something, try to extend the service life so you don't have to go to the most expensive option. So,
Makes sense.
I
okay.
think the only piece of gravel road we should replace somewhere down the road is Wildwood. Is that maybe a half mile between
That's
County
what I-
Line and
right.
where we stop?
Yep.
Are you guys doing a lot of maintenance on that or no?
I'm assuming we're probably blading it, on an as-needed basis. I could check. In fact, I think I was talking to Dan Close and that's what they had mentioned. There's not too many gravel roads in your township, but Wildwood is probably one of the only ones. So.
Because we salt Maywood once in a while.
Okay. Anything else?
All right. I don't think so.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
Okay. Under communications and announcements, you've got the letter you had a chance to look at from Charter. And they're raising their prices, as you can see. And item B, the Accident Fund Group Program Dividend Statement. Is there anything you want to add to that, Shirley? Okay. C, the advisory notice from the Department of Licensing and Regulatory Affairs, Public Service Commission. Public comment. We have no public tonight other than Mark and Sally. If you have any comments to make, now's the time. Okay, it takes us into our reports. You have in your packet the monthly Wade Trim report. Again, showing quite a few tasks completed in the past month and the usage amounts. And that brings us to item B, Fire Department report. Ron, you have a report for us?
We had a total of 15 calls through 12/20, which is a short month because of the holidays. We'll have a complete list for the total for the year. It's somewhere around 353 or something like that for the year. I'll have that next month. We had 12 medicals, 2 lift assists, and 1 auto crash. We received a donation of $2,000 from Packaging Corporation. And I had in my report a request to purchase a GE CareScape V100 monitor. I'd like to postpone that until the March meeting because today I was notified that there's a good chance we're going to get another donation, a substantial donation. And if that comes through, we've got that project we're trying to get through, and then another one as well. And so I want to see how those donated funds line up. This will give us about $6,300 that have been donated to us by different businesses and groups this year. And we have some life-saving stuff that we'd like to do with that, equipment-wise, that we'd like to do with that. But I need to have, with this other donation, I can reorganize that, and we'll do it at the time of the March meeting, if that's okay with the board. On the back of your report, there should be a copy of this GE CareScape 100 monitor.
I don't know what my report is.
And what that is that it's similar to like the ambulances and the city fire use, except that it is not doesn't do a 12 lead EKG. The monitors they use cost around $12,000. This one costs about $2,700 with the extra blood pressure cuffs. And what it does, it automatically does a blood pressure, temperature, and tells you how much oxygen is in the blood. Right now we do that manually, and you have to do each one of those individually, and it takes a fairly substantial amount of time to do those, and then to do your assessment and see where those vital signs stand. With this, we can put the machine on them, turn it on, and while the machine is getting the vital signs, we can get information from the patient as far as what their condition is or what their issue is that they're having. And it just will shorten our treatment time, and also give us, when the advanced life support unit gets there, it'll give us more information for them, and then shorten their patient treatment time, because we'll have more information that they won't have to do themselves. Also, if we have an ambulance, as we did yesterday when we had a call, we had to wait for an ambulance from Calava, which is a pretty long transit time. This machine will automatically update the vital signs and keep a record of them every 5 minutes, so that we can see how the patient's condition is improving, or if the patient's condition is getting worse. So it's a really, our EMS officer, Vince Majeski's done a lot of research into these. There's several different machines, and this is the machine that he felt was gave us the best bang for the buck, so to speak. So, but again, I want to, before we do that financial stuff, I want to wait until the March meeting so I can get this whole thing together, since things are going to change a little bit. Are there any other questions on that, as far as that goes?
I think it's a good idea to have a roster. So we have a roster.
Right, we give, we've been going, it's like everyone else in all the other departments. I've come to you, and I don't know how many people, and it seems like it was more this year, that we hired people and then they're gone. And people move, people get different jobs, people find out that they can't commit the time. We've had a couple people that I had to go to and tell them that, we haven't seen you for 3 or 4 months. You need to decide if you can help us, then we're grateful. But if you can't respond to anything, then we need to make a move on the roster to make room for anyone else that wants to come. So there's been some substantial changes in the roster as far as people coming and going. The last person we hired now has notified me, she's on that list, and she's notified me that she's moving to Custer. So she will be coming off there as well. So we're still hopeful that we can still find some people that in the community, that live in the community, that are going to stay in the community, but when places like Meyer and that open and we get an influx of people from other places, and some of them come and go. So, but I don't have a problem if you want a periodic roster every 6 months or whatever. I don't have a problem doing it. We maintain that. Jim Essovic maintains that in his computer, and we update it probably every 3 months if we have changes. You know, if you want a new roster every time when we have a change, that's fine with me. It also
It's nice when you lose 2 or 3 and then we get a roster so we can see.
Well, and it gives Shirley updated address information. Because we have had some issues in the past couple of years where people moved, didn't tell us. Shirley sends out W-2 forms and she gets them back. Ruth sends out checks and then they never get cashed. And so then between her and I, and her more than me, chases people around trying to find out where they are. One guy never cashed his check. We found out he's in Colorado. Never told us. But anyway, so, but I can do that. I can supply one every time we get 2 or 3 changes. We can do a different roster. That shouldn't be an issue. The other thing we've done in the department, if you look at the book on your right, that is, I've completely rewritten all of our standard operating policies. There's about 74 of them. What we used as a basis for that is the other ones were 10 years old. So what I did is I just pretty much threw them in the trash and took the DVD or CD that was provided by Risk Management from our insurance company. They provide sample policies, and what I did is I used theirs policies as far as subject matter and some outlines of some of the things, and then adjusted those to apply to our department, because some people do things differently we then do and have different apparatus and different numbers of personnel. So those are complete. We start training on those. I'm doing classes starting next Monday for all of our personnel, mandatory meetings, so everyone knows what they're supposed to be doing and make sure that everybody's doing it correctly, what they're supposed to be doing. I do have 2 issues with them. I did not like at all their disciplinary action policy. It had, the last time we had rewritten our disciplinary policy, it was written by Richard, and it worked well for us. The one that they have does not work, I don't believe will work well for us. It does not give this board the final say-so in hiring and firing. And it's my understanding that, and my belief, and I totally believe that that belongs here. So I'm going to show that to Richard, what I have, and then I would like to meet with him, and then when we get something that appears to be legally acceptable to him, do you want me to bring that to you then as well? Because
It's going to be a change, yeah.
that's going to be something that you probably at some point are going to have to deal with.
We may have to approve those new procedures too.
Well, it was
Might ask him
my
that.
understanding that you do not, was what I was told.
And who told you that?
Someone from the insurance company.
Okay. Well, you might ask him.
But I will ask Richard as well if you need to approve each one. I don't know. I have those. I'm going to put them on DVD, on CDs, DVDs. If you want a copy of them, I can supply the office with a copy.
We will need one.
Or you can each have your own copy, or...
Well, we at least need to have a copy here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Follow around. Yeah.
You're welcome to sit. If you want a paper copy, I have several paper copies.
We need paper.
You can sit and read all 74 of them. It's quite thrilling. The book on your left is a partial list, a partial book of state regulations that we're required to follow. That book contains MIOSHA Part 74, which is firefighting, NFPA 1500, which the state has adopted for health and safety of firefighters, the MIOSHA Respiratory Protection Plan, the MIOSHA Part 33, which covers all of our gear, personal protective equipment, SCBA's. MIOSHA Part 432, which is hazardous waste and emergency response. MIOSHA Part 554, bloodborne pathogens, which is hepatitis B and the other communicable diseases. And also contains Public Act 207, which is the state's fire prevention code. They have also, in the fire prevention, state fire prevention code, they adopted the NFPA 1, which is a standard fire prevention code for National Fire Protection Association. And that, by reference, adopts other standards, which I did not. I was going to print NFPA 1, but when I looked at it, I have it electronically, and it's about 100 pages long. And I used it electronically, and I didn't know if you want a copy of it. I can put it in a book and get it for you. I'm not really sure what you would use it for, but you know, if you want to see it, that's fine. Also not in the book is the OSHA required hearing protection plan that we have to develop. That is not complete. And also our electrical lockout tagout requirement for electrical at the fire station. So those are just some of the regulations that we have to follow and fight through. And I put a skull and crossbones on that binder because if anything kills me, that's going to be the book that does it. That's all I have. If you have any questions for me. Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks, Ron.
Yep.
Okay, moving on, zoning administrator's report is in your packet. Just the biggest one there is the industrial land use application, which is pending with PCA. The planning commission minutes are in your packet. Shirley, is there anything you want to add from the planning commission?
Well, you see here that we started talking about signs. We're going to be doing some changes to the ordinance with that. And also, the planners did decide to not pursue the off-road vehicle ordinance this time.
Okay, thank you. Zoning Board of Appeals, minutes are in your packet, and they did have one variance request that was denied by the board. Building and Grounds minutes are in your packet. And we've got a couple of items to deal with under new business from the Building and Grounds Committee. Ed, is there anything you wanted to add to the minutes from Building and Grounds?
No, not right now.
Okay. Let's see, Board of Review met, and you can see there's a rather lengthy list there of items that were dealt with, mostly correcting clerical errors and mutual mistakes of fact. Nothing there was denied, as I recall. And PEG Commission report you've got in your added packet for tonight. Dean, is there anything you wanted to add from
We're
PEG
going to
Commission?
start doing one of the plans here, strategic plan. We're going to look at that, start, Tamara's coming over, and we're going to work and see what we can come up with for PEG.
Okay.
That's our biggest concern right now, and also financial issues will be a big part of that. Equipment doesn't seem to want to go down in cost. And
Yeah, that's what I did.
so we are working on that, find some corporate funding for that. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Item I is the DDA minutes in your packet from last month, and DDA did not meet tonight because of a lack of quorum. J is the sewer project, and I included in your packet, and I put it in your mailboxes back before the Christmas holidays, a copy of the most recent sewer draft contract that Eric Williams put together in collaboration with the city from our last ad hoc committee meeting. This draft Eric did was December 17th, and that has not been discussed at the city level yet. They will be discussing it in a work session next week at their regular work session, which I believe is Tuesday. It's not on the agenda, I know, for tonight's city council meeting, but they'll discuss it in a work session next week. And then the following week, Ben said it would be presented to the council in their regular meeting. So I asked him to at least update me after next week's work session to, give me some feedback on how it was received by council. And he said he would do that. So hopefully you've had an opportunity to read through that contract. I haven't heard anything back.
You mean the one that came in our packet?
Yeah. Anything real major on that, but it's still, I guess we would label it a work in progress. I think we're, based on our last meeting, we're extremely close right now. And so hopefully, my initial hope was that we would get something back from the city prior to today, or at least it'd be close enough that we could come up with a proposal of some sort with, based on some contingencies, but that's not going to work, and I thought we might have to call a special meeting, but it looks like now with them, we're going to be gone the third week in January for the MTA conference. Hopefully that week we'll get some word on where they're at, and so we'll probably be dealing with it then at our February board meeting. I personally don't know that we need to call a special meeting just a week to 10 days prior to our regularly scheduled meeting to deal with it. So unless you feel differently, I guess communicate that with me, and we can do that. That takes us to new business. And item A under new business is consideration of approval of a resolution establishing poverty guidelines for exemption from property tax contributions. And you have an opportunity to look at that. Those guidelines have not changed drastically, but there is a change in those, and I guess I would entertain a motion for approving that resolution.
I so move.
Support.
Motion by Cruz, support by Williams, to approve the resolution establishing poverty guidelines for property tax exemptions. Shirley, you want to take a roll call on that, please?
Ball, yes. Hachinsky?
Yes.
Cruz?
Yes.
Walker?
Yes.
Scarra?
Yes.
Williams?
Yes.
Okay, we have two items related to tax collection. Item B, consideration of a proposed contractual services agreement with the County of Manistee, where they will provide the necessary personnel and computer services for tax map and assessment roll maintenance, tax rolls and tax bills under the current legal requirements to the Charter Township of Filer for 2016 at a cost of $3.90 per parcel, and with 1,758 parcels, you have the total amount there of $8,719.68.
Do we need a motion to?
Yes, we need a motion to
that we contract with the,
approve that.
with the county
Yes.
for the calendar year of 2016.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Hachinsky, second by Cruz, to approve the contractual services agreement with the county for tax collection purposes. Shirley, you want to do a roll call, please?
Hachinsky,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Ball, yes, Scarra,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yes.
Walker.
Yes. And item C is the dealing with the summer tax collection, consideration of the proposed contractual services agreement with the county, whereby they will provide the township the necessary personnel, materials, equipment, and technology to prepare the summer tax collection billing for state education tax for 2016, and that's at a cost of $1 per parcel, which is part of that $8,719.68 total. Actually, the SET amount is $1,758, and the tax map and assessment roll maintenance portion is $6,961.68. So again, I would entertain a motion to approve that agreement with the county.
I'll motion to approve it.
Support.
Okay, motion by Scarra, support by Williams to approve the contractual services agreement for summer tax collection with the county at the cost of $1 per parcel. Shirley, again, would you do a roll call, please?
Walker,
Yes.
Williams,
Yes.
Scarra,
Yes.
Cruz,
Yeah.
Ball, yes, Hachinsky.
Yes.
Okay, and we have two addendum items under new business. Item D is consideration of approval of a recommendation by the Building and Grounds Committee to accept Paradigm Electric's proposal to do rewiring and updating of the wiring at the Nelson Street office for a total of $13,800.
You know what, Jerry? If we got a list what we want them to do, Paradigm. We should have somebody there with them.
Yeah, Bob and I had that discussion that we need to have somebody there and go over, there's going to be,
Yeah, the guy just bid and
yeah, well,
what did he bid on?
we had that discussion back, I want to say in about October with Andy Prine at the location, upgrading everything to, nothing's grounded there, so everything will be grounded. It'll be putting probably new outlets in some new locations and switches. Yeah, his bid doesn't really go into a lot of detail and specify that, but I know Bob kind of talked about the fact that he'd be available to Scarra to be there on site when Andy is doing the work to kind of make sure that we're getting what we want. And I guess, before he goes to work on that, probably would like to get him to spell that out in a little more detail.
Yeah.
There's a lot of,
There's a lot of stuff.
a lot of electrical updating that needs to be done there.
Because we'll drop to the basement.
What?
We'll drop to the basement.
Well, some of it probably will, and some maybe pulling from the attic too, he said,
Yeah.
so. That's going to be very labor intensive, and you can see that on his bid.
Is there enough power there now for that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
There's power to some of the stuff right now to operate
yeah,
what we need?
yeah.
Okay. Because if we put a furnace in there, we gotta have power to run that furnace.
Right.
got a lot of power.
Why don't we delay this electrical update until after we get heat in there and we get pretty much, what we need, what we know we need.
Well, and we probably need to have those two coordinate that between Andy and Custom Sheet Metal. Make sure that they have what they're going to need, electrical they're going to need for the furnace work.
Well, I was with the heating contractor, we've already, well, he did, discuss some of the heat runs and stuff that we want to.
Yeah, and that's the other thing Andy talked about too, is he doesn't want to do a lot of that until the heat runs are put in, the duct work is done, because it's going to.
But we can work together
Yeah. Yeah.
somehow.
Well, yeah, and we had that discussion, Andy and I did, and Bob and I did, and so we'll get with them and try to lay out a.
The service is fine, that part
Yeah.
is great. Well, we'll get power there somehow, and where it belongs.
Yeah. So,
So can we delay the approval of this wiring contract until after some of this other stuff is done?
Well, they can work
Well,
together.
yeah, I don't know that we would want to delay it, Tom, because if he has to go in and do
Yeah.
anything, that Custom Sheet Metal might need done, we want him to be able to do it.
I've worked on jobs like that, and you work with the other trades, and the two of you,
Okay,
you
well,
better agree.
I guess what I'm driving at is, are we gonna, like, say if we put an office in somewhere, we can have the right plugging hookup for it, and stuff like that? That's something we should
Do,
figure out.
Yeah, and that's
that'll cover it, man.
That's been discussed on location too with Andy about, like the dining, living room being a large meeting area and what would be needed there in the way of electrical upgrades. And then each of the existing bedrooms being turned into office space, what would be needed there for electrical upgrades. So we have talked about that, and I guess, at this point, we're not, we've had some general discussions about each room, how it's going to be used, but I don't think anything is laid in stone yet on that. So I think, his discussion was to provide enough in each room that, that we can come in and set up an office the way we want to set it up, and have what we need there in the way of electrical.
Well, there's an amount here, and we're not sure what we need.
Well,
How can we have an amount?
Well, he has specified, I think, the lighting in each room. I don't know if he's got, he doesn't have outlets there. I know we talked about outlets and where they would be, the numbers.
Boxes.
And you know what else, if they gotta do that according to code,
Well, yeah.
and code will specify quite a bit probably. And then, how come all them meters are on that outside wall? They don't need all them.
No, Bob and I talked about that the other day too. We need to, rather than pay somebody to take those down, the old
Old service,
meter, the old service, the pipe, all that, we can take that down ourselves, I think.
you better have
Maybe get
somebody that knows what they're
Get some
doing.
direction from Andy, but, yeah, we want to get that kind of cleaned up.
Okay,
So,
We got the guy that knows what he's doing.
yeah,
but,
that's you, Ed.
well,
Guy that knows what he's doing.
well, really, it's true, you can get hurt.
Oh, yeah, right. But all of that service has been all transferred
Yeah, I
over to
looked
the
at
new meter and the
Did you
new,
ever decide on the panel where you're gonna put it there?
he's already put the panel in.
Panels in.
Yeah, the panel's there in the basement.
All right, forget it.
Yeah. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah,
The 200?
when I was there
panel?
once,
Yeah.
there was 2 in there.
Well, the one's the old one, hasn't been taken out yet, because he hasn't transferred the
Yeah.
service over yet to the new panel. Okay, well, I guess,
Well, let him, both of them let us know when they're gonna commence to do some work so we can work.
well, yeah, we've got to coordinate it, and it's just like Manistee Vinyl, Matt is going to be starting to work on the windows and doors, and
Really?
yeah, the last I talked to him before the holidays, he said he thought he might possibly get started that last week of December, but if not, then
Just be more
January,
snow in February, that's all.
yeah, so I want to get back with him and try to nail him down
Well,
on the exact time.
his
to
trade
get that
making
started.
work real easy.
Yeah, yeah. But he's gonna need some electric in there
Yeah.
too for his equipment, so.
Water's off, right?
The water's been turned off and everything drained, and, yeah. The only, going back to the electrical, Tom, the only thing I'm not real sure about that we haven't had a lot of discussion on is the old kitchen and what's gonna be done there.
The kitchen, you gotta kind of look at that.
So that's something I guess we need to really take a look
I think if we
into.
put some ground faults on the counter and wire them up,
Then there's a regulation too.
Yeah, you're gonna-
Well,
You gotta have it.
take
yeah,
that right
anything near the sink, and that'll have to be
some of that
ground
stuff
faults.
we can take right out, the stove and
Yeah.
Right.
oven. We might want a refrigerator there, but we won't put it in that same place where it was, the
Yeah,
old one.
we don't need one.
All
that
you
size,
need
I
is
don't
a
think.
small little one, anyway, you don't need a big.
Well, what would you like to do with the electrical proposal one from Paradigm? I mean, my thought is the furnace we need to get going on. We need to get that in there. And if they're gonna need anything additional electric-wise, I know from what Andy said, you know, he didn't want to do this before they get the duct work done and everything, because that, he might end up then having to go back and change something, so. But whether or not it's going to be adequate for custom sheet metal to do their work, I don't know. I guess, Ed, I would rely on your advice there. You know more about what custom sheet metal might need in the way of.
Well, he talked about putting a trunk line right down through the,
In the basement.
yeah, down in the basement, and then feeders off of that. And then, well,
Have to run cold there too.
yeah, yeah.
It might save you a lot of money, you could just box the thing in.
In most cases, they run side by side and the cold air comes through
Right,
your
yeah.
rafters.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know how to state that for an electrical contractor, really. We gotta put something. See, the code's gonna preach too, with some of this stuff that,
Yeah, the code will definitely regulate some of what he's going to be doing.
oh, and what did he say, that guy? What's his name?
With Paradigm?
Yeah,
Andy-
Paradigm?
Andy Prine?
Yeah, Andy's easier.
Yeah.
But he went through the whole thing and talked to
Yeah.
what they could do, but he wants to work with,
You have to work with the trades.
Yeah, with the, yeah, you were down there too.
yeah.
Okay.
And you almost have to have them work together to do this.
Right.
Well, that was my thought on it. And that's why, you know, we got the bids and presented it to the planning commission for their, and I know they spent a lot of time on, I think, if I'm not mistaken, you made some phone calls that night, the night of the building and grounds meeting, on some of these to get more information. And
Oh, did he?
That's what Bob told me, yeah, that you guys, I wasn't at that meeting.
Yeah, we were saying that.
Yeah, so,
Well, do you want to call Paradigm and talk to him and see what it is that you really, maybe we could give him a certain amount of money up to a dollar figure to get going till next month? Would that work?
Dollar figure and big figure. Well, he's already got a bid out for so much anyway, right?
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
his
right
bid,
here.
yeah, his bid is there, at 13.
All right, I know both of them guys. I don't know Paradigm that well. I'll talk to him and say, hey, how do you want to work this?
Well,
Just put it real simple. What
yeah,
do you
my
wanna do?
concern in the meantime is we want the work to get started on the furnace
Yeah,
as soon
right
as
away.
possible. And if
I know
there's,
electrical will probably start very,
And you need your electrical for that.
and
Yeah.
if there's gonna be electrical, things they're gonna need there, then, we need to take some kind of action so that he can at least.
well, he's even got his own electrical, forget about that. They got their own power system they use, right aboard the
Talking about-
fan.
Custom sheet metal?
So does electrical, Paradigm, I seen his too. They run their own power instead of, when they come to a new job, there's no power, they gotta have power anyway. So they have their own power supply.
Well, that
Okay.
makes sense.
So in other words, you're saying custom sheet metal can go in there and do their work?
Yes,
Well, not necessarily, we should know where the location of the new furnace is gonna be,
yeah,
and then you'll need power to the new furnace.
yeah, but
And
that's,
he- and he
that
wants
ain't
it
much
so
of a
it's
run to a furnace.
So
Right
that
by him.
They can come in and do
The
that.
air conditioning is what takes the
We need
power.
them to work together to give us a
That's what I
location.
mean, get them both together.
Well, so again, we need to, you know,
If those two are the best quotes you got and everybody went through the same procedure,
Yeah,
you know, we had them come there, they sat down and talked to everybody.
yeah.
And I think we got it. I got our answer. All we have to do is,
tell them.
So what do you want to do with this bid then from Paradigm?
I'll make a motion that we accept the bid for electrical of $13,800 to get started to where we can work together with the
Well, that ain't
sheet
bad.
metal.
Okay,
I'll second that.
okay. Motion by Hachinsky, second by Skiera to approve the bid from Paradigm Electric in the amount of $13,800 for the electrical upgrades at the Nelson Street office building. Any further discussion on that? I think it'd be
No, I
really
think we
important to know that.
can work it out.
Yeah, I think it'd be real important to know that we have him and whoever Loftus is gonna have doing the work there. coordinating.
So,
Okay, Shirley, we do a roll call. Vote,
Walker.
please. Yes.
Hachinsky.
Yes.
Cruz.
yes.
Williams.
yes,
Scarra.
Yes.
Ball. Yes.
Okay, moving on to item, where are we at? E.
Right next.
Item E. Consideration of approval of a recommendation by the Building Grounds Committee to accept custom sheet metals bid for furnace installation at the Nelson Street office in the amount of $9,950. And that included the upgrade to the 96% efficient two-stage furnace and the 40-gallon electric water heater, along with removal of the old boiler and piping.
I so move.
I'll support.
Okay, motion by Cruz, second by Hachinsky to approve the bid from Custom Sheet Metal for the furnace at the Nelson Street office. Shirley, call the roll, please.
Williams.
yes.
Walker.
Yes.
Cruz.
Yes.
Ball. Yes. Scarra.
Yes.
Hachinsky.
Yes.
Okay. Have I forgotten anything? I don't think so. Public comment. I don't want to prolong it anymore, huh? Okay. Anything else to come before the board tonight?
Yeah.
Ed, we'll start with you tonight.
You know, the company could swing into once in a while the Magoon Creek do it for us, to just be good neighbors.
For grading
Did you hear
purposes?
that?
What's that?
You know what's that?
Grading in the summertime of Magoon Creek Road, the gravel road.
What the front office don't hurt, if you would just slip in there once in a while with the grader and come out.
This Magoon Creek?
Yeah.
Magoon Creek, yeah, we have a gravel road that goes in, and we have somebody that likes to go in there and rip the road up, you know, with spin outs and all that sort of thing every now and then, and Scott Nikowicek has been really good about, you know, just when he's going by with his grader, running in there and leveling it out for us on occasion. But yeah, that's, there's occasions in the
We'll
summer.
pay you a
it's kinda
little
bad.
bit,
Coffee and donuts or what?
We probably,
maybe more than
Yeah.
that.
I'll spring for that, Mark.
I guess if you guys grade the end of Wildwood for us, that's not that far away. That's probably the only grading you'll do for us, you know.
Now, how long is the road?
I want to say it's about,
Where in the Magoon?
in the Magoon, about maybe
Half mile, 3/4
I
mile.
don't think it's
less
a
than
half
that.
a
I
mile.
think it's more like 3/4 of a mile, maybe. Maybe half at the
Just a
most.
couple of turns and you're there.
You've never been there?
Well, you definitely need to go there to grade it then, just because
You
it's
have
such
to
a
know
beautiful
what's there.
site.
That's right, I've never seen the road.
It's a beautiful site.
Yeah, it is.
I think you ought to take
roads here in the county, but not that one.
I guarantee, Mark, if you go in there to grade it and get out and look at the view of Lake Michigan and the park, you'll want to go back.
Okay.
There's even
To
eagles.
picnic or to hike or
Not this
whatever.
time of the year,
It's
though.
not this time of the year,
It's
no.
closed now.
It's closed.
We got the gate closed on.
Yeah.
Sally, you're not seeing anything.
It's seasonal. Okay, anything, Tom, do you have anything?
Seasonal road.
Ruth?
No, no.
Dean? Shirley? I have one thing, and I meant to bring it up earlier. Put a copy of it in your packet. And that's AES. It came from AES. It's, it says, please consider appointing one or more people from your community or organization to participate in the initiative described in the following. Their task will be to help prepare a highly focused economic development action plan that targets specific types of business based on extensive analysis. Basically, the title of this project is called Stronger Economies Together. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, Rural Development, Michigan State University will be working on this, partnering on this, covering 4 counties, Manistee, Benzie, Grand Traverse, and Kalkaska, to help identify and develop business sectors that hold the highest growth potential. And I think this is kind of timely now with what we're looking at in terms of potential sewer development, potential growth in our township, the 31 corridor improvements that are being looked at and studied. And so I'm, I guess, looking at any potential volunteers. I definitely would like to get somebody from Planning Commission involved in this, because I think they'll be working with it directly, and also possibly somebody from DDA. It will involve basically attending 4 meetings, one in January, one in February, one in March, one in April, one in May, and one in June, that will take place up at Crystal Mountain Resort. And so if you have any interest in this, let me know. The dates are on there of those meetings. And I guess I'm going to put it out there first as a volunteer, on a volunteer basis, and if not, then I'll start shaking the bushes. But just read that over and give it some consideration. I would appreciate that. And that's the only other thing I have for tonight. So I would entertain a motion for adjournment.
I so moved.
I'll second it.
A motion by Cruz, second by Skira for adjournment. All those in favor?
Aye.